Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Steve Larson, and you're listening to Secret MLM Hacks Radio. Oh, yeah. So here's the real mystery. How do real MLMers like us, who didn't cheat and only bug family members and friends, who want to grow a profitable home business, how do we recruit A players into our downlines and create extra incomes, yet still have plenty of time for the rest of our lives? That's the blaring question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name is Steve Larson, and welcome to Secret MLM Hacks Radio. Hey guys, hope everything is going fantastic for you. Hey, when I was in basic training at the Army, there was this time we were packing up all of our bags. We're getting ready to go on this big march, right? And we're practicing different movements and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. Well, we were getting ready to leave. Right, and we knew that it was coming up in a few days, so we were supposed to be packing and getting all of our gear together for this, and supposed to be this big thing, right? And so there was right before we were going to go leave, there was this formation that they called where we had to go through a bit of a pack check and make sure that we had all the stuff that they were asking us to bring along, right? And as we brought the stuff together, and as we started pulling all the things together, it became very apparent that quite a few, like 10 of the 50 people in my platoon did not have the stuff and did not make an effort to actually get the stuff together that they needed to, right? And those are always ample times for, we call it, what do they call it? Corrective PT. I think that was the name of it, which basically means you're going to hurt. And it's going to be a little bit painful. And it certainly was. And so they punished those people by making everyone who did pack hold the push-up position for like an hour. And it sucked. And so I'm sitting there and had all my stuff together, and I was sitting there and I was holding it. Just holding it. Right. And they're just pacing back and forth, just staring you in the face, yelling at you, making fun of you, trying to, you know what I mean? Like trying to break you and trying to break and rebuild you and rebuild your belief patterns and all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's a really fascinating process, actually, when you look at it in hindsight. And it's interesting because as they were yelling, as 15 minutes comes up and you're holding the push-up position, just straight armed, abs totally flat, you can't drop to your knees, can't anything else. And you're just holding it it ended up being an hour. And I thought it'd be like 15 minutes. These people, they were so unprepared that we literally held, I think it was an hour. It was a long, long time. And we were there for, that was a long time ago also that happened. So if it wasn't a solid hour, it felt like an hour, but it was a long time. And I remember there's this period where I was shaking really, really bad. And I was trying to like breathe better and calm my nerves down so that my body wasn't shaking while they're like screaming at us, and we're all trying to hold it. A lot of us with our gear and liters of water on our backs, so there's a lot of weight on us too, and it was an interesting experience as we were doing that. And we were screaming at our fellow comrades to hurry the crap up, said very nicely on this podcast. And anyway, what was fascinating to me was that there was this point where, and I don't remember again how long it was. It was a long freaking time though, where there's this time, when I'm shaking, but all of a sudden it stopped. And I suddenly was able to handle it again for a long, sustained period of time. And then it would go back to shakes. And it was kind of like this loop where there'd be really intense moments where it's like, oh my gosh, can I hold this? And your body's kind of shaking and your abs start doing this weird twitch thing. And it's because you're just holding it for such a long time. And you got all this weight on you and you're wearing your gear and, body armor, all this stuff. And it's awful. It's not a fun experience at all. Certainly corrective PT works. And so I'm holding it. And I do remember this very clearly though, that there were these moments where, I would start to shake and I'd be like, I'm not going to be able to hold it. And then whatever was happening inside my body was like this rush of energy. And suddenly I was able to hold it for another while before another one of those little cycles would happen. And it'd get really hard. My body would shake. Whoa, I feel like I'm going to drop, and then, kind of grit up again and get ready to go. And I could hold it for another while. And it was like these cycles, up and down, up and down, and up and down. And I remember a lot of it had to do with what was going on in my head. And at the time, and I would be saying phrases to myself to keep going, the self-talk, and we're all yelling at each other, trying to keep each other psyched, and we're all, I think I was yelling the Soldier's Creed in my head, like stuff like that, and those became these points, these flags out in the mountain mentally for me to keep looking at, rather than looking down and looking at the ants crawling on my arms and hands, rather than that kind of stuff. If I mentally was looking forward, if I mentally was looking to the spot that I was trying to get to, it suddenly was doable. And I ended up using this trick lots of times. I remember we would go and we'd do these sprints like crazy. I mean, just, oh my gosh, it was awful. I mean, we'd sprint for 60 seconds, and then we'd walk for 30 seconds. Then sprint for 30 seconds, walk for 30 seconds. So we'd do that alternating back and forth for, 45 minutes. And it'd be a dead full-out sprint as hard as you could go, and then total walk. And it's called HIIT training, high-intensity interval training. Bam, 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 fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. And it's like nuts on your heart rate, and it's super, super hard. It was really interesting. And I went in, and I was already skinny, but I lost 15 pounds doing that. And I remember, though, that I kept using this method where it was like, okay, what's the forward-thinking thing? What's the flag on the mountain? What's this thing I'm looking at with the peak, the goal that I can fixate on, and not fixate on, the really fast pain that I'm feeling. Does that make sense? And as I did that more and more and more, it became the strategy for other places in my life. And if I was sucking it up in college later, well, it's kind of the same thing. It was like, well, I can focus on this rather than the pain of me not doing, not wanting to write this paper or not, whatever it is. Or it became this thing in business. Hey, I'm not sleeping very much right now. Why don't I fixate on what I'm going towards? And by not focusing on the pain in the short term, I was actually able to go longer and go faster and with more sustainability and more, over and over and over. And suddenly, my boss's name is Russell Brunson, and I am his funnel building assistant at ClickFunnels. And he started teaching about this concept called the manifesto. And the manifesto is this, it goes right along with everything he said. As soon as he was telling this kind of thing, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so, I've been using this in my head subconsciously without actually knowing that that's what's been going on. And because of the Army and other big things I'd gone through my life. We've all done that. I'm not special. Any hard thing you've gone through in your life, you think through and you start actually, kind of get introspective about it and realize like, oh my gosh, that actually is, excuse me. That actually is, that's how I got through it. Right? I have two options. I could stop, but the pain of me knowing that I didn't get through it is the pain that stays. Or I could just endure the pain a little bit longer, and then the pain ends, and there's pleasure and peace and comfort on the other side. Does that make sense? On anything we do in life, anything and everything. And so, it's the same thing with MLM stuff. Anytime I've ever seen anybody push hard at this, especially if they're brand new in MLM, and they've never had anyone say no to them, or they've never had anybody say, hey, that's a pyramid scheme. Or they've never had anybody say, you know what I mean? If you've never gone through those things before, it can be a rude awakening. People who've had it good the whole life, it's a rude awakening if they've never had any kind of opposition, right? I didn't have to go through basic training. I went through it because it's kind of weird to say this, but I wanted to. I wanted the challenge. I wanted mentally to go through that. And, it was a lot of fun, but it's the same thing with business. I get excited now when there's this new opportunity, when there's something out there where I'm like, let me go take it down, because the mental jog, the mental, ecstasy that I get from that kind of challenge is amazing. But it's always been because there's some kind of mental flag on the mountain. There's some kind of goal, something I'm reaching towards, and it becomes this game. And my boss, Russell, he taught me about these things called manifestos. And then Then he put it in a book called Expert Secrets. So I wrote a manifesto for my MLM Mavericks. Now, if you don't know what the MLM Mavericks are, these are the people who have purchased my secret MLM hacks course. And once a week, I get on and do a live Q&A with them. But I'm trying to always keep people motivated. I'm trying to always keep people shooting forward and going for the stars. You know what I mean? Right now I've got a seed group in there because the course is about to launch, hasn't gone up yet. I know a lot of you guys are following the launch right now, which is a lot of fun. But there's a seed group in there. There's a hand-selected, there's about 20 people in there right now. And what I'm doing is I'm focusing forward always with them on what we're going towards. Simon Sinek said, people don't buy what you do, but they do buy why you do it. Does that make sense? And that's part of what these manifestos are. So I wrote a manifesto for my MLM Mavericks group. And I put it in the workbook that's actually at print right now. That is part of the course that's coming out soon to teach everyone how I do what I do in this MLM game, because it's not normal. It's not something that's they're principles that I know that we use in other industries that I've just applied to MLM, and it kills it. It's awesome. So anyway. With these internet sales funnels I built. So anyways, I wrote a manifesto, okay? And here's the format for the manifesto. Number one, you've got to identify the leader, which is you listening to this right now. You are the leader of your MLM downline. Maybe you haven't recruited anybody yet. That's okay, but just know that you are the leader. Number two, you got to identify the movement, right? And you'll know more what I'm talking about here as I move through this. Number three, you've got to learn to take a stand against something. And if you're brand new in any kind of business, I keep saying that, but it's true. If you're brand spanking new, or even if you're not, it can be challenging to take a stand against something because you'll feel like you're offending people. Oh no, I got to be likable. Oh no, I've got to do something. Oh no, I want everyone to like me. Okay, let me just tell you right now, if your goal is for everyone to like you, you're not going to be successful. You have got to take a stand against something. And my gut says that things you don't like. Take stands against that. You'll know what I'm talking about here as I'm actually going to read mine. This is just the format. Then number 4 here is all about how you are different. Why are you different? Why are you different than what the industry's doing that you're in? Why are you different than the industry? And so I'm gonna tell you mine here in just a moment here. Number 5 is, what are you fighting against? Now it's kind of, what do you stand against? What are you fighting? Then the 6th one is the last part is self-identify. Who are you? Okay, so this is my, let me fill in the gaps here just a little bit. Okay, and I think the reason I'm doing this is because I always tell you guys, like, I never tell anyone what MLM I'm in on this podcast because that's not the point of it. I'm trying to help. I don't care what MLM you're in. If you like it, stay in it. If you're being successful with it, stay in it. Okay, so write a manifesto for yourself. Write a manifesto for your team. What does your team stand for? Okay, so I want you to do this. This is why I'm handing out to you here. Number 1, okay, so identify who are you. My name is Steve Larson. That's easy. Number 2, the movement. I'm part of a secret group of MLM entrepreneurs you've probably never heard of. All right, number 3, what are you taking a stand against? We don't place our personal success on the backs of family members and friends. Our motivation is quite the opposite. We're a scrappy bunch and love the idea of a fight. We bootstrap our own way to freedom because we have products and services that we know change people's lives. Does that make sense? Okay, so number 4, why are you different? Since we're fighting an industry with marketing tactics stuck in the 90s, right? I'm cutting. I'm trying to cut. I'm trying to make it seem like I'm standing against something else. Okay, I'm standing against an industry that I believe, like I said, is stuck in the 90s. Since we're fighting an industry with tactics that are stuck in the 90s, we have to do things differently. We have to do things smarter. We are our own safety net. Number 5, who are you collectively fighting against? Okay, this is what I'm saying. Because we put relationships first, we fight against any tactic that puts people second. So we leverage marketing knowledge rather than our fragile connections. It's awesome. Number 6, who are you? Using servant leadership, we rethink and rewrite rules while creating our own stories. We are the MLM Mavericks. That's pretty freaking intense. Like, you have no guessing at all what it is that I stand for after you read that. Does that make sense? That's my flag on the mountain. I put that out there, right? And I put it out, and I'm about to release it and make it look all cool and nice, and put it out to my actual seed group for this course I'm putting out and the movement, because I do believe that MLM's broken out of the box. I do believe that everything's stuck in the 90s and we got to, excuse me, just getting over a cold. But I do believe that everybody, most MLM uplines are not going to teach you the stuff that I'm talking about because they don't know it. It's stupid. And I get really motivated about it because I had personal relationships get destroyed when I first joined an MLM, and someone sat across from me and said, make a list of all your friends and family, and he would not let me leave till I called all of them with him, and it was so freaking awkward. Now, I'm not telling you not to do that. Does it work? Yeah, it does work. It's really inefficient. Does that make sense? It's really, really rough to get through that patch and still maintain the friendship. So I've been on this path. I've been on this journey for the last several years. As I've gone and mastered some of these skills in another industry, I decided, why don't I apply them back to the MLM industry? And as I've done it, a year ago, I launched the beta, and it's been nuts. Ridiculous. Auto downline recruiting. What? From people I don't even know? Not that I'm trying to remove the human out of this industry. Not that I'm trying to remove the personal touch. That's not it at all. But I'm so freaking motivated about trying to show people how you can automate these recruiting systems, these recruiting tools, and I figured it out. And so, yeah, I can get passionate about it. So whatever it is that you're passionate about, whatever it is, what do you stand for? What do you stand against? You have got to, this is one of the easiest ways for you to become a leader. Write a manifesto. If you need to hear those again, pause it, go back and re-listen to it. But write a manifesto. Figure out what it is that you stand for, what your band stands for, what your group stands for, what your team does. Because if you know where you're all going, oh my gosh, you guys, there's so much unspoken power it's going to be oozing from you. Problems will solve that you didn't even know were problems yet. There's going to be this force inside of your team that's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, it's hard right now, but that's what we're going for, so I can push through it. Every person has a hard time. Every person in your MLM downline has a hard time. And if you arm them with the flag like this, if you arm them with a manifesto, with an idea, it's so much easier to keep people engaged. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Right? Simon Sinek. It's so freaking true every single time. And what's funny is when I first started hearing those things years ago, when I first started putting those tactics together, I honestly was like, the product's got to be good. The product's be amazing. Yeah, it does. But that's not why people do it. That's not why people stay in it. So what do you stand for? All right? Figure it out. Publish it. Get real loud and proud about it. And you'll become a leader. And people will follow you. And they'll follow you through some pain points, some personal development that they need to go through in order to be successful. It's not a fun experience. It sucks, right? It can be rough. There's always personal development flaws that just explode in your face. You suck at this. You suck at this. Maybe you're not good at selling. Maybe you're scared of talking to people. Maybe whatever it is. Man, the reason has got to be deeper than just money. If it's just money, people are not going to stick with you that long. Does that make sense? This manifesto is the gut-wrenching reason why the heck they're there. So help them figure out what that is. Because sometimes most people don't know. Most people have no idea why they're doing what they're doing. Help group your people together. Rally them together around an idea, a manifesto, something that you're all shooting for that will help pull them through pain while their personal development is underway. Not that it stops, but you know what I mean? Like, especially right at the beginning, like people need that. And so I'm urging you to get out there and do it and go. I want you to crush it, whatever you're in, Anyway, hey guys, I hope you're doing great. And I hope that you understand that what you are sitting on is the potential for generational wealth. It's not a small deal. Okay? Don't treat this like it's a small deal either. Take the manifesto seriously. Go create one. What the heck do you stand for? And go get it done. Guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. Please remember to subscribe and leave feedback for me. Do you have a question you want answered live on the show? Go to secretmlmhacksradio.com to submit your question and download your free MLM Masters Pack.